Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Well, first tonight, the gunman who fired at police and held his friend hostage during the violent 2018 Trevellyn siege has pleaded guilty to a raft of charges. Brett Julian Robinson Stacey kept officers at bay for 17 hours and was only stopped when police stormed the home. Tonight, we can reveal details about what sparked the siege and the eyewitness accounts from those who were there.
The sound was chilling and confronting. Using stun grenades, tactical police ended the tense and terrifying siege in Trevellyn's New World Avenue, dragging from the home Brett Julian Robinson Stacey, who was 24 at the time. Now, 18 months on, he's pleaded guilty to causing grievous bodily harm, recklessly discharging a firearm, injuring property and assaulting a police officer. Today, the court heard a few days before the siege, Robinson Stacey shot a woman named Robin Brown in the leg. She had broken into the home, trying to recover money she'd paid for drugs, which she claimed were poor quality. Then, on the day of the siege, a neighbour called police to say Robinson Stacey was carrying a gun. When police knocked on the door, they were met with bullets. Soon the street was cordoned off. The Special Operations Group arrived and officers surrounded the home. One was in the home next door, consoling a traumatised elderly woman. The court heard today that officer was fired upon when he put his head out of a window. The bullet missed, but Robinson Stacey warned the officer, "Put your head out the window again, you goose, and I'll shoot it." Negotiators tried to reason with Robinson Stacey throughout the night, but to no avail. Tensions escalated the next morning when a friend, Nomi Mountney, who had been inside the house with the gunman the entire time, was taken hostage. When he threatened to shoot her, police stormed the home. After a struggle, Robinson Stacey was finally subdued after being tasered. The court heard Robinson Stacey peppered around 35 bullets during the 17-hour ordeal. Victim impact statements from both residents and officers at the scene contain accounts of trauma and distress. Not to mention the cost to taxpayers, $33,000 in police overtime. Robinson Stacey's defence told the court he was a drug addict whose violent behaviour was linked to that addiction. He had an inability to cope in society, but was scared at going back to prison so soon after he had been released for a prior offence. The defence argued Robinson Stacey accepts he is to blame for the siege and that he panicked and was trying to delay the inevitable by holding off the police. Robinson Stacey was remanded in custody and will be sentenced tomorrow. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
Police at either end of the state are on the hunt for separate firebugs suspected of sparking blazes which caused major damage to homes in Rochalee and Glenorchy. One of the fires so severe the roof caved in as crews scrambled to contain it.
These are the scenes that first confronted fire crews in the early hours of this morning.
The roof was starting to collapse. They began to do an external attack. They couldn't get inside initially.
And this is what confronted community housing staff today. Their property for the less fortunate reduced to ruins. The blaze tearing through the Ferntree Court home shortly after 3 a.m.
Roof tiles were coming down. Part of the floor was missing. So it took some time to crews to get inside.
Thankfully, no one was at the residence when the fire took hold. A fire police now suspect is the result of arsonists. The property is owned by Housing Tasmania, and with the damage bill estimated at close to $300,000, it's expected what remains here will need to be knocked down. In Glenorchy, a unit on Chapel Street was also torched.
If this is a deliberate fire, it's obviously very disappointing. It's something that we'll take very seriously.
The rapid response of firefighters helping prevent the flames from spreading to neighbouring properties.
The damage is estimated to be at $100,000 and there is no damage to any other adjoining units.
Meanwhile, 3 teenagers have been charged for this inferno which destroyed a century-year-old home in Sandy Bay yesterday. Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
A joint investigation by Tasmania and Federal Police has led to more arrests. A 51-year-old and 21-year-old man have been charged with trafficking in a controlled substance after being arrested in Derwent Park this morning. Police say it's in relation to the seizure of more than 700 grams of methamphetamine from the Spirit of Tasmania late last year. State and Federal Police also conducted a large-scale operation in Dover last Wednesday. 2 people were arrested. A Tasmanian coroner has reiterated the dangers of co-sleeping with babies. Coroner Simon Cooper examined the deaths of 2 infants in northern Tasmania in 2018. He found both died due to suffocation while sleeping next to family members. Coroner Cooper described both deaths as tragic but completely avoidable. He reminded parents that infants should sleep by themselves in a cot or bassinet. Well, Tasmanians are being treated to a new travel opportunity, with South Australia lifting its COVID border restrictions. For us, the Northern Territory and WA. But the big catch, it's only for people travelling on direct flights. And at the moment, there are no direct services between Tasmania and South Australia. SA's Premier says it should send a signal to airlines.
That's one of the reasons why we've been very keen to make this announcement as soon as possible, so that we can signal for the airlines to resume flights into Adelaide.
The restrictions lift at midnight, and if you can find your way directly to SA, there's another snag. Tasmanians would still need to quarantine for 2 weeks on returning home, of course. Well, it's been a wild day of weather for much of the state. A vigorous cold front crossed Tasmania, bringing strong winds. Gusts reached more than 80 kilometres an hour in Hobart and parts of the northwest. Parts of the east coast, including Friendly Beaches, topped 95 k's. Snowfalls are possible in some areas down to 500 metres. Tasmanian scientists are at the forefront of new technology and research, tipped to have positive impacts across the globe. Groundbreaking equipment designed at CSIRO will be used as part of major measures to help protect our environment.
A devastating scene thousands of miles away. This is a fishing bomb being detonated in Indonesian waters, an issue our scientists are helping to tackle with a new collaboration between the CSIRO and Microsoft.
In some cases, that's understanding how people are just using the environment, where they go, how much pressure there is in an area. In other cases, we're actually looking for illegal behaviour.
World-class artificial intelligence technology paired with world-class research will be used to address local and global issues causing environmental chaos.
And putting that together to help resolve 2 or 3 of these critical issues. So waste leaking to the environment, bomb fishing, boats being in places where they're not meant to be.
Equipment such as underwater cameras and this underwater microphone or hydrophone used to collect data.
To identify things of interest, so explosions, air compressors, winches, engines, to be able to work out what people are doing.
With information distributed in real time.
By using that artificial intelligence, machine learning, we can actually handle large amounts of data in a really quick and efficient way, which allows us to do so much more.
The smart sensor technology said to benefit farming and to help detect pollution hotspots too.
To identify how much and what type of waste is entering up in our stormwater drains or our gross pollutant traps.
Local initiatives making a big impact on a global level. Louise Huber, 7 Tasmania News.
Concerned parents are calling on the government to look at school bus services, saying regional routes are often overcrowded, forcing their children to stand for long journeys. They're worried about the risk it poses to children's safety during unpredictable peak hour traffic.
School buses, a saviour for parents in regional areas, saving long commutes in peak hour traffic. Now in the spotlight for the exact same reason. Some parents concerned about the safety risk they pose when seats are full.
Late braking or trying to avoid an accident, all the kids just go flying forward on the bus, landing on each other. But, that's what you have to do apparently.
Lucy's daughter travels on a bus from home in Dodgers Ferry to school in Hobart return each day, often forced to stand. She says her concerns are shared by other parents, calling on the government to add another bus to the route.
more additional buses for the routes, and I would like to see greater capacity for the buses.
I don't think any parent would be comfortable having their child stand on a bus travelling at 110 kilometres an hour for, in some cases, 30 or 40 minutes, knowing that that's something they have to put up with every single day. The government says school bus operators are working under strict guidelines for sitting and standing numbers, and it remains committed to student safety.
Any school contracted services, if they're nearing capacity, then of course we will look and work with the school bus service and indeed the schools to see what can be accommodated there.
Ebony Ablett, 7 Tasmania News.
The University of Tasmania has released a range of short courses designed to support people affected by COVID-19 to upskill or retrain. The courses will cover a range of subjects, including counselling, agribusiness and science.
We are so conscious of the challenges that are presented when people lose their jobs and how important it is to get back into a job. These job-ready certificates, which run over the next 6 months, are designed to do exactly that.
The certificates will be subsidised with at least 50% of the study cost waived. The rest of the fees will fall under the HEX or HELP scheme. Well, this year's Vinnie's CEO Sleep Out is set to go ahead on Thursday night in a different format due to the pandemic. Rather than at its traditional home at UTAS Stadium, participants will be sleeping in their backyards or cars.
Rugged up and setting up for a cold night facing the harsh elements of a Tasmanian winter.
I'm a thin-blooded Queenslander. I've been lucky enough to call Tasmania home for the last 6 or 7 months. And sleeping through a Tassie winter outside is going to be a bit of a challenge.
Armed with nothing but some cardboard, a sleeping bag, his pillow and the clothes on his back, the RACT CEO is taking part in this year's Vinnie's Sleep Out from the comfort of his veranda.
So I was looking forward to sleeping out up in Launceston, but obviously I think plans across the board have changed as a result of COVID.
Completely different to our previous year's formats. Obviously, with the announcement of the pandemic back in middle of March, we had to review how we would conduct our CEO Sleep Out.
The important fundraiser going ahead in a virtual format, up to the participants to choose whether they sleep on couches, in cars or in their backyards. Hoping to highlight the plight of hidden homelessness, which the St Vincent de Paul Society says has increased in recent months, partly due to the pandemic.
We've tried to mimic as much as what we possibly can the real effects of homelessness and how people experience it.
It's hoped this year's Sleep Out will help raise more than $50,000 for the organisation's homeless services, including food vans providing hot meals. To donate, head to the Vinnie's CEO Sleep Out website. Ebony Ablett, 7 Tasmania News.
If you consider yourself a passionate Hobart Hurricanes fan, you're certainly not alone. Market research released today found Hurricanes fans have the strongest emotional connection to their team when compared to clubs across a range of sports. Generally, AFL teams outrank clubs in other sports on the same measure. The National Women's Cricket team and the Matildas top the list when it comes to our connection with national sides.
Good evening. The big number today, 150 kilometres an hour. Matsyker Island recording a wind gust of that speed today. Hobart 83 k's and Tunnock 91 k's as well. Hobart and Burnie 15 degrees. Launceston and Devonport 14. Friendly Beaches the high with 16. Smithton, St Helens and the Islands all 15. Lowhead, Grove and Ouse 14. Strawn 12. Lyre, Weenie 7. Showers spread across Tasmania with the cold front pushing cloud in from the west, bringing a few thunderstorms too to western regions. Mid to low cloud is moving across the southeast of the country, also cloud along the east coast of Queensland and southwest WA. Tomorrow a high drifts over Victoria, extending a ridge our way, a cold front and trough travel east over WA. Winds still strong, west to southwesterly at 15 to 25 knots and up to 30 knots over the south and lower east in the morning. 8 metre swells decreasing to 4 metres by evening. A strong wind warning from and including Flinders Island to Low Rocky Point. And we also have a road weather alert warning of ice on roads in the north, central and east. Hobart tomorrow 11 and partly cloudy, 11 also for Geeveston, light early frost for Bothwell, a top of 10. 12 for Launceston after a morning frost, 13 the high for Devonport, partly cloudy for Cressy, 0 to 11 the temperature range. 12 the high for Burnie with a light frost to start, Strawn 12, 13 the top for Curry. St Helens tomorrow, sunny and 13, same for Swansea, Orford mostly sunny, 12 degrees. Thursday, fine and partly cloudy, morning frost over the north and snow to 700 metres. Showers over the northwest on Friday, increasing during the evening, fine and cloudy elsewhere. And on Saturday, showers over the west and north, extending statewide late morning. Showers and a possible storm for Perth, partly cloudy over Adelaide and Melbourne, a shower or two in Sydney, Brisbane 24 tomorrow, a sunny 33 in Darwin. Rainy over Hobart, 6 at the moment, and clear in the north. Now, I've been sent an email for a request for a birthday cheerio for Emma Williams. I'd love to wish you a happy birthday, Emma, but one of the rules Kim Miller put in place when she started was no birthday cheerios. So, back to you, Kim.
I did not start that rule. Happy birthday, Emma, and anyone else having a birthday 365 days a year. That is your news for now. I'll be back later with updates. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow night, let's hope. See you then. Good night.